remember one time my uncle was in there and he took a pistol out of his pocket and shot behind the hot water heater and killed a rat. I said, oh Lord. But that's now would I live like that? No. I'm terrified of those things. But when I look, I don't know how in the world we live like that. And Coach Plumley laughing, but because I tell them these things, and it seems like it's not true, but then I have to let him talk to my older sister. And she confirms what I'm talking about because even in those little cracks, it were bats, like flying bats. And I can remember my sister Jackie being in the bed and she said, "Something on my leg." So we jump up, she turned a light on, it was a bat. So we was taking brooms, killing the bats. So I'm like, so me and my cousin then was sitting at a table, just like we are talking. And I said, "Janine, get that bat off your neck." She grabbed it and threw it down and ran. And I was chasing them with the bat. So they said, "I can't believe that." But as I got older, and I knew how Granny's house was, and I knew we had bats, but if you come to my house, it is what it is. So I can remember dating this guy, and I'm telling him, I said, my grandma said, "Leslie," because my grandfather died when I was in high school. But I heard my grandma always call my name loud, and I don't like people to call me loud now because I thought something would be wrong. When my grandfather died, when she called me like that, I could hear him hit the floor because he was trying to heat the kitchen by heating the oven. So he was turning that on and he just fell dead right there. And I can remember that. We didn't have, and my grandma called my name, but this particular time she said, "Leslie." I said, "Ma'am, come kill this bat. There's a bat in there." I said, so I look at my boyfriend, I said, "Will you come help me kill this bat?" So he said, "Kill what?" I said, "A bat. Let's go. Get your broom." So here we go in that bat. We going like this right here. But we were killing that bat. And I can never forget him saying, "I can't believe I just killed a bat." It just, would I live like that now? No. But when I look back at it, we didn't have no other choice.
It's what it was.
What we gonna do? Sleep outside with the bats or in the house with them? So, but it just made us probably more scared of rats and more determined to have something in life because growing up they would say, if your grandma, my uncle and my aunt, some of them would say, "If your grandmother died tonight, y'all bastards could stay with us." That's how they put it. And I would say, "Dog, you wrong for that." I said, "Why they say that about us?" That's what I tell Don. And Don say, "I don't know why they always talking about us." And my mama, I said, "But one thing about it," I said, "when I get older, I'm going to buy me a house." So before my grandmother died, I was 19. I had already purchased my home. I bought my first house when I was 19 years old. So Granny didn't have to stay there where we stayed. She can come stay with me. You don't have to worry about them bats and rats. Come stay with me. We don't have much because I couldn't even afford anything but the carpet. But that was better than staying there. But as I would work and save and get stuff from here and there, and it became a home. So, but my grandmother never wanted to leave that house. She wanted to stay there because that was hers. That's what she had worked for. So I told Addison, I said, "You wouldn't have made it growing up like me because, he just think that, everything's peaches and cream." I tell him, I said, "Yep, you should have lived with me." So,
to know, yeah.
Because your grandmother's a big influence in your life.
My grandparents and an uncle. I had an uncle also. He always taught me. He died way before my grandfather. But he said, "Don't ever spend your last dime." He said, "Always save." He said, "If you got $1, you save 50 cents. And my grandparents, knowing that they had to work hard to have that little piece of house that we had, that land that we still own to this day. It's a corner lot, business lot now. But that house they worked so hard for, and to see them pay $50 here and $50 there, and you know, that same man that were talking about the little house and talking about what we wasn't gonna be and what we couldn't do was the same one that had to stay there with the bats because he lost everything. And so he had to go back to Granny's house and before it got torn down, and you know, so what they taught me is you don't have to have a lot. Just keep clean with what you have. But you can't change the situations. You just gotta live there, and you gotta be determined, and you gotta want to better yourself. You know, because that was better to them. When they paid that house off, then they got some siding put on it. And when they got that siding put on, oh, we thought we was something, had siding, but you still had the holes. So, you know, but
it was theirs.
But it was theirs, and they owned it. And, you know, so yes, I mean, she always would tell us, you know, we had to believe in our grandmother because she would tell us, like, on New Year's, New Year, you better not wash no clothes, because if you wash clothes, you wash somebody out your family. So, to this day, I don't wash clothes on New Year's because we wasn't allowed to, because if you wash them clothes and I die, you did it. So, you know, so we grew up like that, believing what Granny said. Now, I know that's not true to this day, but you better not wash no clothes. And then she would say, don't let a woman come to your house first. It had to be a man to come through and walk all the way through your house. Because a woman will come try to steal your husband. So, you know, so I started laughing at Granny because she always would tell you stuff like that. And you know, you'll tell a lie for a cat lick his tail. That's what she said. Don't be doing it. Lying for a cat lick his tail. Tell one lie, you got to tell another one. So she was just that way, but she was blunt to us. And I'm blunt too, you know, but she always would tell us the truth. If we asked something, it was live stuff, and that's the reason I tell Addison. I don't sugarcoat anything to Addison, but Addison didn't live my life. I can tell him what I used to live like. I can tell him how I grew up. My sister can tell him, but he's not us, so he don't understand that. So when I tell him, Addison, you don't need another pair of shoes. You got 100 pair of shoes in this house. Mom, I need another pair of shoes. But if he didn't get but one pair, and that pair had a hole in them, then he would appreciate another pair of shoes. And when I was talking to my sister last night about this, she said, and you know, those cat heads that you had on, that's what she called them, old cheap shoes that you had on, you thought you was something in, and we was all in the back of my mom's house playing in the creek, and we saw, playing around the creek, and we saw a horse, and it got loose. And I took off running, and I ran across the creek, and Pee-wee, my brother said, oh, Lord, we're going to get beat, because, you know, Teek done got them shoes wet. And Donna said, hey, $2 shoes, okay? She said, but we looked down and your shoes wasn't wet. We said, not only did Jesus walk the water, you did too. She said, we don't know how you got past the water without getting them shoes dirty. So, but she said, you were the second person walk the water. So I was so scared of stuff. So I think about that now. And matter of fact, yesterday, Mr. Lazier was, we was at court. And I said, I'm going to show you where I used to live, right here. That's where they said I walked the water, you know, and he was just laughing. And then I took him down another street, and I said, you see this street right here? That's what a Ku Klux Klan got me. They kicked me in the tail, me and my cousin, me and that same one I was talking about, the Ku Klux Klan. We were walking, we were little kids. And they jumped out of those woods, and they got me and they got my cousin. They kicked us, spit on us. My cousin defecated on himself, but not me. I was, oh Lord, I about had a heart attack. My other cousin got away. But we went to the hood to tell, and we told everybody, we said, you got to come, we got to go back. We got to go back. They jumped out of it. But just imagine what kind of trauma that would do to kids if, with them hoods and all that, and they jump out of the woods, and then they kick on you and spit. But Addison, he was in, I think, 5th grade, and he said, "Y'all need to talk to my mom. Mama got kicked in the tail by the Ku Klux Klan." And I said, "You're wrong for that." So when I went to get him from school, his teacher said, "Did you get kicked in the tail by the Ku Klux Klan?" So, just know that's my story. Jackie Bolden was my sister. So black, white, female, male, it didn't matter. They didn't mess with us. So, but no, I really never looked at it like that, because through going to school and all that, coaches were very helpful. Teachers were so helpful. That's the reason I tell Addison it's so important to be respectful and to appreciate what people do for you. They don't owe you anything. And my grandmother used to always tell me that, said, somebody speak to you, you speak back. That it bothers me when I see kids pass somebody and don't speak to them. I can't believe that. But now I got my son that's going to talk to everybody. So, be careful what you ask for. But it's nothing wrong with looking up at somebody saying, "Hey, how you doing?" Because that's just the common thing to do. But, we was raised like that. And so I never thought about any of that growing up. No. Other than them KKK now.
Right?
So we always knew about that, the KKK. And my grandma told my coach, said, "My granddaughter is going to Monson-Salem on that basketball team. She better come back the same way you took her." Do you understand that? And she made it clear before they took us up there, because they said if you give out a gas at Monson-Salem, you better stay in your car. So I'm just telling you, back then my grandmother was right. Hey, she just told him she better come back the same way.
Experience.
It was like going to Pickens Elementary and Pickens Middle School, Pickens High School, because you got to eat good, and then people were there that cared about you. As long as you do what you're supposed to do, they're willing to help you. I mean, Miss Moore, Miss Washington, Miss Anthony, it's so many that played such a big part in my life. But in high school, Miss Amy Moore, I think she still she's a guidance counselor easily. And Miss Washington, I don't know if she still work at Pickens. But when I tell you that being grown, I can still go back and say I need help. So they were the one that when I went to the police academy, Miss Moore actually made call cards for me. And she studied the same thing that I studied, and showed me flashcards so she could make sure that I passed the academy. Miss Washington, I think that she was with me when I got my driver's license and my permit to make sure that I understood what I read. I mean, so you don't get this by being disrespectful. You don't get that kind of treatment by being unappreciative. They didn't have medication. My grandmother and them didn't know about ADHD, so I was hyper as crap. Now my son take medication and he's still hyper. But when I think back on it though, those teachers, what they had to probably put up with, but still I never disrespected them. And that's what I tell my son. I know he didn't grow up like me, but he's not gonna be disrespectful. Now he gonna talk because he got it honest, and but I still tell him now he have to know how to turn it off. And everybody might not agree with your personality, but it's not about you. People don't love you as much as I do. I said, so son, always respect people, always be a positive person, always have a plan, because I might not be here. So I have to prepare you to make it. I don't want you to see. My mom died before my grandmother. My mom died at 47 years old. I talked to her one day on the phone, and I went by there before work, and she was asleep. And that wasn't like my mom. She was sleeping real hard, and I told the people at the house, I said, Tell her I'll call her when I get to work and get a break. Well, I did. And when I called there, they said she was still asleep. And I said, somebody check my mom. I said, that's not like her. I said, go check my mom. So I started calling around to my cousins and telling them to go over there and check on her. And I remember getting that phone call saying, your mom don't even have a pulse. Her sugar had dropped, and she drank and her sugar dropped, and she died. And that was awful because Granny was still living. And my mom, she was living with my mom. So that was a bad situation because my mom took care of my grandmother and then she passed. But hard times, but I was prepared. I had my own home. I had stuff like that, but I had to pay for my mom's burial, and that was okay because she gave me life. She might not have been perfect, but she gave me life. And she wanted to do more for us, just couldn't. My grandparents loved us dearly, but did they really know my grandmother's mom died when she was 9 years old? And then her dad remarried, and her step parents were mean to her. So it's a generational thing, but somebody gotta stop it, and that's the reason. Until you judge somebody, know their story.